Today I'm going to show you how to make Cowboy candy ribs. This is by far my favorite way to do ribs. These look and smell so freaking good. Between the cowboy candy and the bacon and the ribs, they're freaking incredible. These are so juicy. What's up? I'm Nichole Dailey, culinary producer at Traeger Grills, and today I'm going to show you how to make one of your favorite recipes. It's been going crazy everywhere. We're going to make cowboy candy ribs. So first up, we need to make our cowboy candy. It's super simple. It's like 5 or 6 ingredients. But first up, we need to slice some jalapeños. We're going to add a little extra to this, kind of leveling it up from your average cowboy candy by smoking our jalapeños. So you can use a mandolin like this, or you can slice them by hand. It's totally up to you. We're gonna just slice all these up, and then we're gonna throw them on this wire rack. We're doing these on our Woodridge, we had a runaway, on our Woodridge Elite. We are using hickory pellets for this. And we're gonna smoke these at 200 on super smoke for just about 30 minutes. You just want them to pick up a little bit of smoke. All right. Okay, now we're just gonna lay these out on this wire rack. You just want them in a single layer. Doesn't have to be perfect. You want that smoke to come in all the way around. We're kind of drying them out a little bit too. So as you do your cowboy candy, they're not adding extra moisture. All right, so we're gonna throw these on the grill, like I said, 200 degrees, super smoke. You just want them to go about a half an hour. They're just gonna kind of shrivel up a little bit and clear out some of that moisture. All right, our jalapeños are almost done. We're gonna throw together the rest of this cowboy candy. We're gonna start with some apricot preserves. A little apple cider vinegar, some brown sugar, good amount of black pepper. The last thing to go in here before we grab our jalapeños is some minced garlic. I kind of like a little bit of a bite to the garlic in these. I don't mind some chunks. So I'm not gonna go super fine with this. Add that in there. Now the last thing that we're gonna add is our smoked jalapeños, so we'll grab those. So you can see how much these have kind of like shrunk and dried up just in that short time. It'll help make this come to the right consistency that you want, that nice like syrupy coating, much quicker than just a raw jalapeno. So we'll just slide these in. And this will keep in your fridge for quite some time. If you want to make a big batch and keep it around, it's really good as like an appetizer poured over cream cheese. All right, we'll just give that a stir, and then we're gonna get it on our side burner on the Woodridge Elite. We're just gonna bring it up to a simmer, let it cook down for just a few minutes until it's kind of like thick and syrupy. All right, let's throw this on. Okay, our cowboy candy's ready to go. This looks and smells amazing. You can see how much these jalapeños have cooked down, and they're like candied at this point. The liquid is nice and syrupy, and it'll thicken up a little bit more as it sits. So we're just gonna set this aside and let it cool. While that cools, we're gonna prep our ribs. Before I do that, we need to turn our grill up. We're gonna go up to 225 for these ribs. All right, so we're using St. Louis ribs for this. There's not a lot of trimming or prep that you have to do with these ones. You just want to take off any silver skin on the back. So best way to do that is to just kind of peel up the corner. Once you get a little piece to hold on to, use a paper towel. I like to get that first bone exposed, and then I'll grab it and just pull all the way back. They never work out that perfectly. That was amazing. So to trim these, what I like to do is I'll just kind of like press down, and any of these big pieces that you see kind of like hanging off, I'll trim some of that up. Just square off this end. I like to save any of my rib trim. I'll roast it off and use it for a stock, or I can even, sometimes I'll braise it down and put it in a stew, and I'll just pick the bones out later, but don't waste it. So we trim that side up, and then on this tail end that's a little bit thinner, this one's actually pretty thick, but I'll usually just cut this last rib off because it just doesn't cook quite as evenly because it's a little thin. Again, we'll save that. And this one just looks pretty good to me. I'd leave it like that. This one, you can see this tail end is much thinner than this side. So I'd probably take these last 2 or 3 bones off depending on the ribs. And then this one also has a little piece hanging off here on the end. We'll just clean that up. I'm going to use mustard as binder for these. You can skip it if you want to, use something else. Make it your own. Just give it a nice even coat. And then we're using anything rub. It's just a nice balance of salt, pepper, and garlic. They'll kind of complement the garlic that we've got going on in our Cowboy candy. So we'll give these a nice even spread. Flip and do the other side. We are going to throw these on, again, 225 with super smoke. It's going to be about 2 hours. We want them to get up to about 160, and then we're going to start basting them with that Cowboy candy. All right, our ribs have been on for about 2 hours. We're going to start basting with our Cowboy candy. All right, we're going to let those keep going until the internal temperature comes up to 202. These ribs are not wrapped, and so if you find your ribs sitting in the stall for too long, around that 160 to 180 range, if you're in a pinch, you can bump it up a little bit and it's not going to hurt it. Each rib is different, so while we say this is probably around 6 hours, it really depends rib to rib. So we'll come back periodically and keep basting these until they hit that internal temp. All right, we're hitting the home stretch here. Our ribs are up to 202. We're gonna pull them off and cut them up. Ooh. These smell So freaking good. But we're not quite done. So these are kind of a hybrid between a regular rib and what a lot of people are doing right now called a party rib. They're obviously cooked whole, but then we're gonna cut them. We're gonna toss them with a little bit more cowboy candy and finish them again, similar to a party rib. So we're just gonna cut these into individual ribs. I'm gonna flip it over so they're easier to see what's going on. These are big boys. Scoop those up. Ooh, look at that. Those are so juicy. Yum. Can't leave that behind. Second batch. Scoop all that up. Now, because one type of pork is not enough, we're also going to add bacon to these. So we'll drizzle a little bit more cowboy candy over the top. And bacon. And we'll just give them a toss. Ooh, these are gonna be so good. Spread those out a little bit, make sure everything is nice and coated. All right, these are gonna go back on the grill. We just want them to set, so kind of set up that cowboy candy a little bit and glaze them. So we're gonna throw them on, maybe another 20 minutes or so is all. And then we're ready to party. This has been quite the process. I promise you it's worth it, but we're at the finish line. Let's check him out and see how he did. Ooh, this is a big boy. These look and smell so freaking good. Between the cowboy candy and the bacon and the ribs, they're freaking incredible. I am going to dig in. They're hot, but I can't wait. Woo! She's so pretty. This is by far my favorite way to do ribs. The acid in the cowboy candy really cuts through all the richness of both the bacon and the ribs. And honestly, the cowboy candy by itself, it's so versatile. You can use it on so many things. If you bring these ribs to a family barbecue, a Super Bowl party, you're gonna be the hero and people are gonna freak out. So make sure you give it a try. You can find the recipe in the description below. Make sure you like and subscribe and check us out next week.